Hey guys, Cloudy Hayes back for another video. If you're interested in making gold, well right now is one of the best times to do so. With the launch of the new expansion, comes with it the opportunity for making gold that we will only get once every 2 years, or however often a new expansion comes out for World of Warcraft. Yes, you can make gold throughout an entire expansion, but the amount of gold and the techniques for making gold change as an expansion goes on. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys a handful of ways you can make gold when the war then launches and the first few weeks to come. I'm also going to go over different ways you can make gold that don't require you to craft anything and won't take much effort either. Before we get into the video, I quickly want to say thank you guys for supporting me this far. One thing I wanted to mention is that only 3% of my viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. With that said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. But let's jump right into it. First thing is first, the economy during any expansion launch will be a bit out of whack. Nobody knows what the price of an item should be, and people are just guessing. Some people do have a general idea of prices as they will compare items to the previous expansion, but there is so much going on and a lot of new players coming back to the game, so this is a perfect time to take advantage of the situation and make some gold. During the first few weeks or two, items in the auction house will be fluctuating a lot. You will see a lot of ups and downs until the market levels itself out, but the market is always changing as the season progresses forward. Real quickly before we get into our first method for making gold in the early stages of the war within, what we can and cannot do during the early access is still up in the air. Gold making will be limited during that time when it comes to professions. We do know we won't have access to profession specialization points until the first reset on Tuesday. So with that said, just keep in mind that most of the gold making will happen after the first reset. But we can definitely make some gold beforehand from selling raw materials and other things as well. But let's get right into it. Gold making method number 1, working the auction house. The first way you can make some gold is by taking advantage of the fact that nobody knows what the price of items are supposed to be in the first days of an expansion launch. If you're looking to make some quick gold, and you're not worried about grinding rep and leveling all your characters to 80, you could post up at the auction house. A quick way to make some gold will be buying reagents and reselling them for double or triple the price. You will see people posting items for way too low. Buy them out and post for higher. You might be wondering, well Cloudy, which reagents should I be focusing on? And how do I know if they're posted for too low? Something you will want to do is keep a close eye on the economy of certain items. If you don't have an auction house mount, then it is a bit more tricky to do this since you don't want to spend all your time sitting in Dornegal looking at the auction house. Any reagent that sells for 50 to 500 gold will work wonders. The more expensive the reagent, the bigger profit gains you can make, but also the bigger risk you will take when purchasing items to resell. You want to focus on reagents that have a high sell rate. For example, during Dragonflight, all the rousing crafting materials sold like hotcakes, rousing frost, rousing fire, etc. The best thing I can say is to keep an eye on the reagents. Tons of people will be posting items for way too low the first week, so keep that in mind. Buy low, sell high. And you don't need tons of gold to do this either. You could easily invest 20,000 gold and resell it for 50,000 and continue the process. Even if you're brand new to the auction house, you can still do it with little to no knowledge of how it works. Just simply put in a little bit of time into researching the prices of reagents. Just sit there and watch them sell and be posted. Keep hitting that refresh button. You will be surprised by how low people will post things, but you have to be quick to buy them. They won't last long in the auction house. The reagent game can be challenging, but it's one of the best ways to make millions of gold. You will see tons of herbs and ores selling for all sorts of prices the first day of the expansion release, so take advantage of this by keeping an eye on the market. Easier said than done, I know. But guys, give it a shot and I bet you will succeed. Gold making method number 2, selling green BOEs. Another way you can make some gold is by selling BOEs. While you're questing through the zones and leveling up, you will find plenty of green BOEs. Green items ranging from item levels 408 to 564 depending on your level of course. These items will sell for gold. After reaching 80 in the beta, I had at least 12 to 15 of these green BOEs for all different armor types in my bags. These items will definitely sell pretty fast. People will be buying BOE green items to upgrade their gear. Not everybody is going into the expansion fully geared up with full Mythic Awakened gear, so I do expect to see these items sell. For how much they will sell for, it's hard to tell, but definitely more than a few hundred gold. Some of the higher item level green BOE gear could potentially sell for thousands of gold or more, so you should post your green BOEs on the auction house instead of vendoring them. Also, if they do end up being a good seller, then you can play the auction house and buy and resell them as well. This won't be a huge market, but in the first couple days, it'll definitely make you some gold and be pretty decent. So make sure to not vendor your green BOEs you come across. Sell them for gold. This also goes for just about anything you find. All new items the first week or so will be sold for a ridiculous amount. This always happens at the beginning of any new expansion. Gold making method number 3, herbing and mining. If gold making is something you want to focus on right from the get-go, and you're not too worried about leveling your character, then there are a few things you can do to get a jump on making some gold. On launch day on your first character, complete the intro quest, get to Dornegal, and pick up Double Gathering. Pick up both herbalism and mining. Level to 80 by strictly herbing and mining, and posting everything you get along the way. You get roughly 1300 experience from every herb or ore that you gather, double if you have rusted experience. Even if the herb or ore is great to you, you still get the same amount of experience. If it's great, you won't get a skill point for your profession, but it doesn't affect the experience you get. I leveled one of my characters on beta from 70 to 72 just by strictly gathering herbs and ore to test this out. It's actually not that bad. It took me about an hour per level, and I really wasn't being efficient by any means. I was casually flying around, gathering herbs and ore, drinking coffee, and relaxing. But there will be a lot more competition for herbs and ore when the expansion goes live. So with that said, it might not be a bad idea to get ahead of the large groups of people and farm in a different zone. If you're lower in level and it's your first character going through the zones and you do decide to progress forward to herb and mine somewhere else, the mobs will be higher in level. But if you are a druid, you won't have to dismount while farming herbs. If you're not a druid, you can use the Sky Golem mount to farm herbs so you don't have to dismount each time. You can also spec into this as well for both herbalism and mining. Both gathering professions do have the option to spec into talent so you can gather while mounted. After an hour or so of farming, head to an auction house and check prices. Sit there for a moment hitting the refresh button. Just get a feel for what's going on. If prices are good, then post your items and make some gold. And I can definitely tell you for sure that prices on herbs or on other crafting reagents will be high on the auction house the first day, and the first week at that matter. People will be testing the waters with new materials on the auction house. They will post things as high as possible to see if they will sell. And of course, if Sally jumps off a bridge and says follow, most people will, meaning that people will follow suit. When the first person decides to post herbs for a ridiculous amount, people will post their herbs for the same price. So other people are stuck buying these materials at a high price. And trust me, there are plenty of players out there that have millions and millions of gold saved up just for this reason. They want to max out every profession as fast as they can. So with that said, your materials will sell. Something to consider though, potentially the competition for selling reagents on the auction house on the first day may cause your materials to not sell if you just post and head back to farming. You might need to sit there for a few minutes and repost a few times as you may get undercut pretty quickly. But overall, this is a great way to make some gold during the first week of launch. Farm materials and sell the raw materials on the auction house. This requires little to no work other than the farming itself. But obviously, you could turn those materials into more gold if you have professions such as alchemy. During Dragonflight launch, I was mainly focused on my raiding guild that I was running, so I was not really out farming gold like crazy. So I can't share my experiences with you from the previous expansion launch in terms of making gold. But recently I did spend quite a bit of time researching this topic. I have heard people saying they were making 50k to upwards of 100k per hour just from selling raw materials on the auction house on the first day or so of the expansion launch back in Dragonflight. With that said, if making gold is your top priority, then double gathering could be a solid route for you to go. Gold making method number 4. Group farms. Another option for making gold early on in the War Within will be gold farms. There will be all sorts of different gold farms being discovered when the expansion goes live. So with that said, keep your eyes open for gold farms. One of the best types of farms are group farms, also known as 4x4 farms, or 2x4s, depending on what you do. You will want to hit level 80 to be able to participate in these types of farms, and you might need to have a certain profession as well, depending on the farm. For example, Weaver Cloth group farms are going to be a huge hit the first few days of the expansion release. Since cloth can pretty much only be gathered from tailors now, the price of cloth is going to skyrocket. Max level players with a tailoring profession will get into groups of 4 and farm specific locations to maximize cloth gains. There will be other groups of 4 at the same location, all farming in sync to help each group. The reason people farm in groups of 4 instead of 5 is because of the following. When you're farming in groups of 5, all the mobs you tag become grayed out to other groups. So other groups will not be able to loot the mobs your group tagged and is killing. If you only have 4 in your group, other groups can tag the same mobs and get credit for the kill, and you will be able to loot the same mobs. Having 4 people in each group prevents groups from fighting for mobs. It also exponentially increases your gold per hour as well, by 3 or 4 folds at least. People will be farming cloth to sell in the auction house directly, or for crafting bolts and selling those in the auction house. They will also be farming it to use for their own professions as well, to craft armor, bags, and other items. Basically, you will either sell the cloth for gold or use it for professions. Once you hit level 80, you can start to look for group farms. You can find farm groups in the group finder. Just click the eye at the bottom of your screen, head to pre-made groups, and then click custom groups. That's where you'll find any gold farms that might be happening. You can also farm solo as well, especially as a tank or any class that can pull large groups of mobs and survive. Of course, a group farm will ultimately net you more gold, but perhaps you cannot find a group or you're not getting accepted into one. Or maybe you simply like to solo. If you're a tailor, then all you need to do is simply find a location that has large groups of humanoids and farm that spot. I have a few places I scouted out during my beta adventuring, and I will be sharing all my farm spots towards the end of this video, so make sure to check those out. Gold making method number 5, crafting. This method for making gold will by far be one of the best ways to make gold, if not the best. Crafting gear and other items will make you millions of gold if done properly in the early stages of any new expansion release. Basically, every profession can work just fine for making gold. For tailoring, there are a few recipes that you will learn early on that you can easily make for pretty cheap, and they have a good potential of earning you tons of gold. At tailoring level 30, you can start crafting cloth BOE blue items that require level 71 and have an item level of 521. These will sell for a good amount on the auction house. How much? We won't know for sure until the expansion is live, but I wouldn't be surprised if they sell for tens of thousands of gold, at least in the first few weeks anyways. A lot of people are heading into the expansion with remix gear, so they will be looking for upgrades. A good majority of the player base will be between 476 to 510 item level, so these items will be an upgrade for many. A lot of professions offer the same equivalent crafting options as well, such as leatherworking and blacksmithing. They both have gear that you can craft at a low profession level. These items require little materials to craft, so they won't cost much to make, and they are BOE, so you can sell them on the auction house. Just to note, the most important thing will be getting your professions maxed out. A majority of the items you can craft from professions will be bind on pickup, BOP, and will only be done through work orders. This will also be another way to make gold. If you can get your professions leveled up quickly, as well as your renown so you can unlock additional recipes, you will be in a good spot for filling some crafting orders. Every profession has something great to offer. My biggest tip is to pick up a profession of your choice, go through all the recipes, and look for easy crafts. Profession tools are another item that will be hot. People will need profession tools early on. Overall, crafting any BOE items in the early stages of an expansion will make you easy gold. Some items will be more expensive than others, so definitely take a look at the cost of everything before you start crafting, then decide what you want to make. For players who are new to professions and or have never really had the chance to experiment with professions during Dragonflight, well, let me tell you this. You can pick up mostly any profession and level it up to 30 or 40 in the first day or so and craft things that will make you gold. It starts to get harder to level up though as you get further into your profession levels. You will eventually need to unlock more recipes, and you will need to do crafting orders and first-time crafts to further progress your professions, as well as buy knowledge books. You will be able to buy knowledge books from renowned vendors with artisan acuity. These books will be a one-time purchase, and you can buy 3 of them in total, costing 200, 300, and 400 artisan's acuity respectively. Each book will grant you 10 knowledge points. Lyrandal and Dornegal offers these books. At Renown 12, you can also purchase 10 more knowledge points from Council of Dornegal for 50 artisan's acuity. Then lastly, you can purchase another 10 knowledge points from Saria in the City of Threads for 565 Kej. Getting your professions leveled up will be a huge deal for making gold. The higher quality items you can craft, and the more recipes that you have learned, will ultimately increase your gold gains. There is also a handful of one-time treasures you can find around the zones to earn knowledge points as well. I will post every location for every treasure for every profession I was able to get my hands on near the end of the video, so make sure to check that out. You can screenshot it and use it for later if you want to track them all down. So overall guys, pick up some professions and craft some items early on. Find some items that don't cost tons and that are selling for decent. All professions will have something to make gold with, so don't worry there. The new Dark Moon cards made by Inscription are going to be a hot commodity. Also, the new crafting bags made by tailors are also going to be a huge hit. Alchemists can stock up on potions and get ready for the raid to come out as well. The week before the raid opens, top guilds will be buying out all high-end files and potions, so keep that in mind as well. I'm not telling you to save all your mats for the week before the raid, but what I am saying, if you're an alchemist, farm like crazy the week before the raid comes out, or buy the mats in the auction house. Whatever you need to do to be prepared. Alchemy will make tons of gold during the first week when the raid is opened. Also enchanters too. All raiders will need to buy enchants for their gear, so just keep that in mind so you can be ready for the huge wave of sales during the week that the raid is opening. Like I said, all professions have something to offer, but overall, just enjoy your time playing and make some gold. As it goes for making gold with professions, I just barely touched on this subject. There is so much more to professions than what I just went over. I will be releasing full profession guides very soon, so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I hope you guys enjoy the new expansion and make some gold at the same time. If this video was helpful in any way, please toss the video a like, as it really does help the channel out. Thanks for watching as always, Cloudy Haze out.